Hi everybody, this is Tor Storley and I am back with another video. This is the first video in a series of I don't know how many I'm going to be doing, but what I like to do is to take a look at the DuckDB Community Extensions that are available. So I want to make these videos fairly short, so I'm not going to dwell on too much stuff. Hopefully I'll cover one community extensions per video. Now, like I said, I don't know how many I'm going to be making. It kind of depends on what's available and what I like to learn about. And as I go, I'll make a video and share my findings with you. And that's the idea. So in this first one here, we're going to be looking at an extension, a community service extension called HTTP_client. Now, basically what it does is it lets you do your regular web API stuff like gets and posts and so forth. So we'll look at where you can find these, where to go, and we'll also look at an example that I created. So the first place you want to go is to this community extension webpage, where you can find that at duckdb.org/community_extensions. And this is the landing page you get to. One thing you probably want to do is to make sure that by looking at this page, this is how you actually install any community extension from this community extension website, by using this install and then the name of the community extension you're interested in from community like this. And then you're going to load it like this. So that is kind of the syntax you use in order to install new ones and then load them, okay? So what you can do, you can go to this community extension repo. And when you do, you're going to see you're ending up here at the GitHub repository. And one thing you can do, you can go and see what is available. So you can click on this list of community extensions. And here they will list everyone that is available currently that for you to use. So you can see there's different variety of things you can do with these. And you can scroll through these and find something that looks interesting to you and try to pursue that. The one we're going to be covering today is called HTTP client. So when I click in on that one, you can see this is how you install it. So install HTTP_client from community, and then you load it. They also give you an example here. Now I tried out this one here, and for whatever reason I couldn't get to this website, so that didn't work for me. But that's okay. I grab the stuff that I need from here, and then I just model it according to what I want to do with it. But there is some syntax here that you might have a hard time with if you don't kind of know what you're doing. For example, you can see here they refer for the result of this GET request, they call it res. And because this is a CTE, a common table expression, it starts with some kind of name. In this case, there's __ input. And then the query comes that actually gets the data from the internet, and it will return it, as you can see, as a JSON file. And these mappings parameters we'll get back to a little bit more. Next then, they create another expression query here called __ response that is going to be querying from here, as you can see, from here. And then it's going to actually map this JSON. So this is what that does. It maps it inside that JSON file. But you can see it's based on the output column from this first query, which is this. And then we're going to drill in till we find the status, and then we're going to convert it into an integer and call it status. So like if it's successful, it might be 200, something like that. The reason here depends on what reason it's being submitted, if it goes wrong. But then you also use like function like unnest from JSON. That's the one from above here. And you're going to look for the body, because this HTTP GET produces JSON object that has a body in it. So you're grabbing the body and you convert it into a JSON object, as you can see here with this : JSON. And then we're looking for headers, and then we have some other stuff we're doing here. So you can see here is a second query, and it tells you about this client. Use it at your own risk, okay? So be careful, it's not guaranteeing anything here, in other words. And here you can see, here's different things, the settings you can use, whatever you need to do for your request. Make sure you look through these and see if there's something here you want to use. That's the first extension we're going to be looking at today. Okay, so now what we can do is, if you look at this HTTP client website here, there says extension repository on GitHub. So let's try that. So I'm clicking on that, and now you get into the GitHub repository for that particular extension. And as you can see, you have access to all the code here. And better yet, they do have a README page, as you can see. And they explain, what this is doing, and, experimental, use at your own risk. Tells you how to install it, which is the way you would do it. And it also tells you can use gets, you can use post, and I don't know, post form is probably some kind of additional way you can actually use this HTTP. I haven't tried these. I tried a get, that's about it. Now this first one here, I didn't work. This one uses spatial data, as you can see. So this is based on that spatial extension that comes with DuckDB. It's almost a core extension, but you might have to load it. And also, in this case, they want you to load the HTTPFS, which is pretty much a core extension as well. You can install this. If you don't get an error, you're just going to load it. Okay, so you can load JSON, you can load HTTPFS and the spatial. Then this query here is based on this website. So if you go to that website, and let's see if I can find that page. It looks like this. Okay, so if you click into that link, Earth Search AWS element, so it looks like it's going against an Amazon website. This is what the spatial JSON file looks like. So there's a lot of stuff in here, as you can see. Okay, so let's close that, guys. So now you see the results. So this thing here is going to query that file you just saw. That's all the data that's coming back. And then you continue your CTE and call it features. And then you're going to basically select from the JSON object for the REST object here you named, and you look in and find the body and convert into JSON, and then look for features and then convert that to JSON. Okay, so you're creating another JSON object here. And then finally you're mapping it out, and you're saying, hey, from this features, which you named this part of the CTE, so this select statement, in other words, from there, drill in and get the ID, drill in and get through the properties, get this Centennial product ID. What does this mean? Okay, it's a little tricky. What I did was I copied out all the text from that JSON file. So you can see here, this is the actual output, okay? When you search and you drill in here, for example, you want to get this UTM time zone, right? Because this is the output now that we just queried. You can say, go and find that guy like this, and then find the next one. And when you go and look, you can see it found one here. So basically you're drilling into this huge document here, and you're getting the different parts of it as columns. Another thing you do is you're searching for geometry, as you can see here, because we're using this spatial extension, which is not a community extension. Well, maybe it is, but it's being used all the time. So it's more part of the core, actually. So what you can do is you can search for that guy by doing something like this. Search for geometry, and it finds the first one. As you can see now, the geometry is of type polygon, coordinates, and then it goes on. And then you go to next and the next and the next. So what you want to take out of there is basically build a column out of that. And that's what this is doing, okay? So once you're done here, you can see there is the geometry column, as you can see right here. So it basically extracted everything from that JSON file. Here's the IDs, product ID, grid ID, etc. Okay, so here is one that I created. It's based on my good old macro that goes against Yahoo Finance. As you can see, it has this URL that you can see on the top here, and it looks for AbbVie in this case for the region US, and you can see there's a lot of parameter here. You have intervals as 1 month, the range is 1 day, And then it has some course domain stuff listed here. And this one here, I created a URL for right here. What I'm doing is I'm concatenating. So this might be a little tricky to understand, but basically what I'm doing is I just pass in a ticker symbol right here in this first CTE. So I just call it symbol and I say select this text variable RGTI, pass that in to this second input here as this symbol here, which is named T, and it comes from down here, as you can see, T symbol from the first CTE, which is the top one here, right? And I call it T. So I refer to T symbol here from this right up here. So that concatenates this link with this symbol. So at this point, you are right here, okay, right there. And then what I want to do is I want to pass in some other parameters too. So I basically want to build these other parameters, the interval, the range, and so on. And the way you can do that is you can map it. So you can map like this, the region, the language, include the pre-post is false, meta symbol. This is not going to work. I should take that out because that has no meaning. This is wrong. Okay, take that out and then do the interval of 1 day and the range of 1 month like this, okay? You can go all the way to like every minute if you want, and then you have to specify the interval as 1M for minute, okay, like this. But if you do, you probably shouldn't go more than 1 day because you're getting data for every minute, right? So that's gonna query here, and then the second part of this query is parsed, and I call it select and then grab again from that previous example I showed you, call it rest. So I just stayed with the word rest, which is find the result. I'm looking for status, which is part of the output. And then I'm looking again for the body, because remember, the return here will produce a body key with value. The rest of the body will be after this key. And then you want to make it into a JSON object. You get it from the previous input here. And then from there is where you're basically going to build your output. In my case, this output is pretty scattered, so I have to really drill in. So I got to grab this body JSON from here, and then I have to start drilling in into these lists and into these key value pairs, okay? And then I have to convert it into a certain data type. In this case, the symbol is going to be text. This timestamp I made into a big int. This is always tricky because it's a Julian date, but it comes as an array. And here you're getting another array. All these are arrays, okay? So as you can see, because I'm converting them into double arrays, as you can see here with these square brackets in the end, okay? So this is how you drill in from this previous one here to get to the data you need. And I'm querying out if the status is 200, which would mean success. It got data, in other words. And then you can just create like a raw table, because now we're going to actually extract it into a table format. So we're going to grab this array from the double array from above here, and we're going to unnest it. And what that does, it takes a list basically, and it creates a new row for every item in the list. Here it will be like a long line of numbers. Here it will be a vertical version of all those numbers. So one number per row basically. And that's what this piece is doing. So I'm getting it from here, which is the previous query. And then finally, I'm doing some final cleanups where I remove like quotes around the symbol. And then I'm converting the time step into a date, so I don't have to see all the time elements of the date. And I also give you the time step. And the reason I did that was because if you want to go by minute, you might want to see the time, because the date will always be the same date if you do all the date is in the same day, right? And then I'm rounding up the numbers to 2 decimals, so I don't have to see those long float numbers. First thing I want to do is I want to load that client because I already installed it. So let me open a instance of my CLI for DuckDB. I'm going to just run it in memory mode because I'm not going to attach any file name to it. So right now it's going to be in memory mode. And I'm going to paste that query, first load that client, and now let's run and see what happens. Boom. Went pretty quick, didn't it? Went against Yahoo Finance, got all the data, converted all the data using this HTTP client from up here, and then it just scripted it all out and it looks nicely formatted, as you can see. So you got the volume, you got the open, high, low, close. I didn't include the adjusted close here, so that's probably okay. And I did it for the RGTI, which is a quantum computing company, at the HTTP client extension. And in the next video, we'll look at another extension. Hope you like this video, and if you do, please give me a like and consider subscribing to my channel. That'd be wonderful. And I will see you in the next video in this series. Thank you.